When I am intimate with my husband, I am thinking of मैंने वैक्सिंग नहीं की.
Really? Oh my God.
If I would tell my husband, listen, I'm not waxed, I don't want to do this, he'd be like, listen, I don't have a problem. When you awaken, then all parts of you start opening up.
What does being a good girl mean in Desi culture?
So chup rahe. Mama, someone mentioned this word called sex to me. And the mama or the dad will give one chaped and be like, खबरदार जो आइंदा इस लफ्ज को इस्तेमाल किया.
Never marry the first man who you're interested in, ever. It's considered like a really horrible thing to say in Desi culture, but window shopping is a good thing.
जूता भी लेने जाते हैं ना तो आप 10 दुकानें घूमते हैं.
You can marry who you want is a process. They still want to know where the family is from, what do the parents do, how much money a guy earns. That control, it's really difficult to relinquish.
This fear will stay in a society, in parents, when they know कि ये तो नहीं choose कर सकती.
Welcome to Burqa and Bikini. I'm joined by the very, very thoughtful and powerful Mahvish. I went really down on your Instagram and everything, and I could see like where we start and where we get. Tell me about yourself. Where are you in your journey now?
Somebody just asked me yesterday, how are you? And after, I don't know, maybe the first time, I really felt like saying I am doing really well at this point in life. And I feel like I've come a long way, and I have worked really hard on myself, because I've understood that the only work that you can truly put in that can bring the kind of impact you want is in yourself. So I don't work on other people. I don't work on the surroundings or the environment. I work on myself.
I love that. I don't work on other people.
No, I mean, it's exhausting, right? And you can't be in somebody else's mind and heart, and you also cannot expect people to think and behave the way you want. So you decide your responses and reactions. And I think it makes life easier. And I feel like I am on a journey of healing, but I have been able to take my family, which means my husband and my 2 girls, along with me. And our family dynamics are, mashallah, amazing. Just last evening, the 4 of us were chit-chatting after work, laughing, sharing. And I was like, I am so happy that my kids want to hang out, with their parents like that. Although my daughter, she's 14, she's a teenager, but she wants to hang out with us. And I think that's a really huge accomplishment. So yes, I feel I'm doing well in life on the personal front. Baki
That
sab
is
cheezein,
amazing.
aani jaani hai, you can't control what's happening in the world. But as long as things are under control within the 4 walls of your home.
Yeah, it's really good to hear you say that, because lately I feel like a lot of people I know, including me and my partner, we're going through a lot of changes in our work life and a lot of uncertainty. A lot of people I meet are like in this uncertainty, and it has a lot to do with what's happening in the world, by the way.
Yes.
And it's really good to hear you say that it's really good as long as everything is good within the 4 walls. And it's so good to hear, because I really needed to hear this right now, that as long as everything is good within the 4 walls, everything else will change, and it always does, by the way.
Yes.
So yeah, it's really nice to hear you say that. And it's 14-year-olds wanting to hang out with the parents after work. It's pretty cool. I mean, I didn't want to hang out with my parents when I was 14.
Yeah. And a lot of people ask me, oh, so you have a teenager, that might be a tough phase. And I'm like, actually, no. We're not getting those eye rolls and door slamming.
What kind of stuff do you guys talk about normally? Like, what is it like?
Literally everything and anything under the sun. Like, how our days went, a funny interaction or a bad interaction or a show, or even politics, everything.
Do you ever feel like talking to a 14-year-old that there's something that's too much for you? Of course, you can tailor your reaction as an adult, but do you ever feel like, oh my God, this is so out of my comfort zone, tell me more, like...
Yes.
Like shock value.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we can always learn from the new generation, right? And Gen Z, a completely different generation from who we are and what we've been taught and the world we grew up in. So it's really interesting to talk to my 14-year-old and get younger people's perspective. And I mean, I feel also that she's very emotionally mature. So even when, you sent me some like themes that we could be looking at in the podcast today, I just sat down, we were hanging out, and I was like, oh, Minha, I got these questions. Can I discuss my answers with you? And I literally had that deep discussion with her because all of your questions are not superficial types. They have depth in them. And yeah, and I also told her, Minha, it's a sex podcast. So she's like, oh, so what are you going to talk about in it? And I said, Kokab said that we should talk about my sexual awakening, and I'm a bit nervous. She said, why are you nervous? It's such a normal topic, Mama. And that was like a tick mark for me. Okay, I've done a good job. My daughter thinks it's a normal topic. And I said that it might be too bold for, if it's a Desi community listening to or somebody from a Pakistani background. And she said, Mama, this is not bold. This is normal. So if people think you're bold,
I
it
want to
doesn't
hang out with
mean
her. I want
you
to
should
hang.
should take it negatively. And I was like, okay, thank you. I got the pep talk that I needed. So yeah, she can be really intelligent with her responses, and I love talking to her.
Wow. That is really cool. I remember the last time we talked, and ever since,
Yeah,
you mentioned an awakening. A lot of us have awakenings,
yeah.
and sometimes we call it a sexual awakening, sometimes we call it a spiritual awakening, sometimes it's all encompassing. What was your awakening like? What triggered it?
So yes, I think my awakening has also been quite all encompassing because when you awaken to yourself like that, then all parts of you start opening up, and maybe not all parts open up together. There it's staggered opening, in which I think is better, because if everything opens together, then it could be a little hard to deal with so many things. But it's been quite staggered, but it's been going on in a like on a continuous path since 2017, I would say. And that was when I gave birth to my second one, and I almost lost my life, but I survived. So I think that itself can be a big thing to shake you, because we all know that death will come, but if you really meet it and you really understand it, things can change in a snap, then things become very different. And I realized I worry about littlest things, and if I had gone, everything would have continued. The people whose lives really would have been impacted were my husband, my kids, and my parents. बाकी सब चलता रहता, मेरा काम, ये दुनिया, दोस्त, सब
Yeah,
कुछ.
everything, yeah.
So that's when I realized where my focus needs to be, and where my personal happiness will come from within myself, and it's very strongly attached to my husband and my daughters. And uske baad se, I started questioning myself, what matters, what doesn't. And then a personal incident happened within my family, which also drove me to therapy, because I realized there's sometimes you cannot manage life on your own, and it's actually brave to seek support. Okay, hey, I can't, so I need help, and you need professional help. So that allowed me to unpack a lot, understand myself a lot. But the sexual awakening that you mentioned, it's very interesting that I feel I was at a point where I was very okay with accepting the good and the bad parts of myself, parts that needed healing, parts that have been improving. So there was space to accept. And I just ran into a sex influencer, and I just went through some of her posts, and एक switch जैसे on होता है ना कि why am I so worried about all these random things? I shouldn't be, like how my body looks, and how which part of my body, what does it smell like? these are just barriers in my mind, and that means that when I am intimate with my husband, I am thinking of मैंने वैक्सिंग नहीं की.
Really? Oh my God.
I was like, what is this? Because it creates a block
Wow.
in how present I am in that experience.
Did you feel like this even after so many years of being together?
Yes,
Wow.
because it, you know, हमारी I think conditioning ऐसी होती है that when we have these blocks, हमें लगता है इतनी ये नॉर्मल चीजें हैं कि आपका माइंड जाता ही नहीं कि ये सही नहीं है. Things are flowing the way they are and you
Wow.
never question. And then I realized that I need to be more free in the most intimate moments that I share with the person that I love the most. So if my thoughts are going here and there, then I'm not present, you know. And that sexual awakening also included accepting what I like and what I don't like, and accepting se pehle acknowledging, pausing to understand this is what I actually like, and pausing to understand no, I don't like this. So, first is acknowledgement, second is accepting, third is communicating.
What had been missing before?
I think being present, being present uh, in intimate times, more than I should have been. I wasn't as present. And yeah, there was a lot of like, there were a lot of blocks. ऐसे कर सकते हैं, ऐसे नहीं कर सकते, ऐसे होना चाहिए, ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए, ये कह सकते हैं या नहीं कह सकते, ऐसे feel करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए, because women are also told how to feel. You're supposed to like this. You're supposed to
Yeah.
not say this. And it's not like
Yeah.
somebody sat down and taught me all these things. This is passive.
Just absorbing from the surroundings. Yeah.
जो बातें हो रही हैं, जो सोसाइटी में होता है. Perhaps maybe if I, as a kid, a child asked their parent back home, Mama, someone mentioned this word called sex to me. And the mama or the dad will give one chaped and be like, खबरदार जो आइंदा इस लफ्ज को इस्तेमाल किया. So that is when the child first learns this is a bad thing. And even after getting married, subconsciously, it's difficult to let go of the thought that this is a bad thing.
Wow. The part about waxing is so interesting because last month we got married.
Yes.
And I had a discussion with my friends. I was like, guys, I want to do like a proper spa day, but I don't wax. Okay. I've not done this in 20 years.
Yeah.
And I used to as a teen because my mom introduced me to waxing
Yes.
really early on, which was which did not fit the mold at all because she was otherwise so conservative. I don't know what she was asking me to wax for. I couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
But I had been waxing since a really young age, and then I stopped waxing, and then during the wedding I was like, I'm not gonna do it. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, first of all, I was like, I don't need this. This is extremely painful, and I don't do this. And
Yes.
why should I do this? Like, if I don't do something in routine, why should I do this?
Yes. Just for this. Yeah.
Just for this, right?
Yeah.
And and my friends are like, yeah, we get it. Some people also wax because it makes the skin feel better, and I was like, yeah, maybe I can do something else. Like you go to the spa, and then you do, and it was so crazy because I went to the spa and I booked treatments for me, and I booked treatments for my sister, and she had a longer list of treatments because she's a new mom, and she's like, I wanna go all out and take this opportunity to like pamper myself.
Yeah.
And the woman at the spa is like, I'm sorry, which one of you was the bride again? It was so funny. And I was like, actually, it's me, but like, I cannot care less about this. I just want to feel good. Like, give me a massage or something, like a
Yeah.
sauna or something. And it's so interesting because I was just like, I'm not going to do it. Like, why should I? I mean, I did consider because I was like, there's a thrill for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna put my body through this, and
Yes.
I would certainly not do it for cosmetic reasons.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
like, okay, now the kameez has a really deep back, so now I have to wax my back. I'm not gonna do this. Nobody's gonna stare at my back. Like,
Yeah. And
nobody
even
has
if
the
they do,
time. Yeah.
Even if they do, who cares, right?
Yeah.
Who cares about their opinion
Also,
of
like,
my back?
I was like, this is my back, and also it's I'm not so hairy. Like I've
Yeah.
never, if I ever felt it, I would feel it. I wear a lot more revealing clothes in Europe
Yeah.
than I wore at my wedding. So this was
Yeah.
such a big topic. Like
Yeah.
we had a proper discussion, and people were like, oh, "We don't know what to say." But it was just a thing I discussed with the girls because I was
Mhm.
like, "What would you guys do?"
Yeah.
And we realized that there is a lot of space in society for these conversations, and
Hmm.
they are navigated like there's almost like a code on how you should be if you're a bride. And
Yeah.
I was like,
There is.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna wax. Screw that. Like,
Mm-hmm. I hear
so
you.
it was really yeah, it's really interesting that
And
you're
you know
also
the
thinking along the lines.
yeah, the interesting bit is that I would also like if I would tell my husband, listen, I'm not waxed. I don't want to do this. I'm not waxed. He'd be like, listen, I don't have a problem. And he was so clear with me since the beginning, I don't have a problem. But it was really hard to get rid of the conditioning. And I feel when you want to get rid of something, you can only get rid of it when you're ready. किसी
Yeah,
और के कहने से कुछ नहीं होता.
nobody can make us do anything, I've
You
learned.
have to reach that point of awareness and, yeah, yeah, I reject this. I don't want it anymore. And only then the change happens.
Yeah, a lot of it is for me born out of laziness. Like there is so much more I would rather like invest my time in doing than waxing,
It's
honestly.
painful. I
It's
don't
just
want that pain.
annoying. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just really annoying, but it's also I'm just also a bit lazy. And I mean, I just think that my interests lie somewhere else. Like I would spend more on like clothes and like looking good and buying like a good quality jacket.
Yeah.
But like going to the spa every week and waxing, I don't think that I want to spend my money on that. Like it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
if
But
that makes
see,
sense.
we also then need to change the terminology that we use for ourselves that we're not lazy if we're choosing to not wax. It's just that it doesn't give us enough value
Yeah, it's just
that
not
we
a
would spend
priority.
our
Yeah.
time and money on it. If something
Yeah.
is a priority, it gives me value, I'm going to do it, you know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I'm lazy, or I would want women to not call themselves lazy कि मैंने खाना नहीं बनाया because I'm lazy. No,
Yeah.
because you don't like it, you know.
Actually, sometimes, I mean, I love to cook, but sometimes I am like, today I am lazy.
Yeah.
And deal with it. Like, I am
Yeah.
lazy today. I
नहीं
don't
बनाना
wanna,
हाँ.
I'm not in the mood to do this. Like, I will do nothing, just lie on the couch and stare at the
Yeah.
ceiling. I don't wanna do it.
Yeah. Yeah. There should be space for that.
Yeah, so it's just not in the mood. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I love this because we have this in our relationship where if I ask my partner to do something and he asks me, I mean, do I really have to? Because I'm not in the mood. It's like, okay, then don't do it.
Hmm.
You know,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
just, and I feel like it's even for someone like me who's really outspoken. This is a new thing because it's new for me to live with somebody. I lived a long time alone when I was a student, and it's I was not raised in a culture where I could turn around and tell my mother, today I'm not in the mood to make a salad.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like excuse me, like there was no space for that. So yeah,
Yes. Yeah. And when you say that, this thing comes to my mind that even children need to be respected, and children's moods also need to be respected, as long as, of course, it's not dangerous for them या कोई बहुत major चीज नहीं हो रही. But in things like when kids say I'm not in the mood to clean my room right now, I always like to give that choice. Okay, then when do you think you can do it? Today. So even that bit of leeway के 5 बजे नहीं 8 बजे करूंगी, gives them that
yeah,
sense of respect, and they can own their choices, that at least I'm doing it when I feel like doing it. So
yeah,
mood is an important thing, I feel.
yeah,
It should be
yeah.
respected.
No, 100%, 100%. And how did it feel to wake up to yourself like that?
um I think the first thing that comes to my mind is it's liberating, because when you wake up, it's like, now I don't care about anybody else's opinions or anybody else's conclusions, and I don't care about judgment. I am so free that I can make my choices और बाकी लोगों के क्या ओपिनियंस है उसका कोई वेट है ही नहीं मेरे शोल्डर्स के ऊपर. इट्स ऑसम. एंड माय हस्बैंड आल्सो सेज तुम बस जाती हो और तुम कर देती हो. कर
Yeah,
देती हो,
you just do. Yeah, yeah. I
you
watched
know.
a I watched a really powerful snippet by Reese Witherspoon. She's
Yeah,
so amazing, and she
yeah.
said in this snippet, "Women have to act, and men
Mm,
just do."
just do.
And I was like, "This is so true. Like, there is so much mental planning
Mm-hmm.
that goes into like doing what you want. Even if you're
Yes.
a woman who's doing what she wants, you're gonna be planning.
Yeah,
Oh my
सोचेंगे
god."
पहले 100 दफा. Yeah, but I think I've reached that point where I get up and I do it, you know. And I mean, yes, it's a huge plus to have a partner who creates, or not creates, but just enables you. You have this space, I give him that space, he gives me my space. जाओ करो, because you know we trust each other. It's not like जाके तो मैं कुछ अजीब सी हरकत कर दूंगी. But as long as it makes me happy, it's not making somebody else unhappy, or I'm putting someone else in danger, या मैं किसी के rights में infringe नहीं कर रही. If I want to go do something, I'm going to do something. So that's very liberating. There's also a lot of anger towards yourself, a lot of sadness I think you feel initially ke itne saal maine kya kiya phir, I wasted my time, or I took this wrong decision because I was so stupid, or I didn't know better. But I think this journey also comes with self forgiveness and self compassion, that I did the best I could with the space and the knowledge I had. उससे अच्छा मैं उस वक्त नहीं कर सकती थी. So I think you need to give yourself that grace that you couldn't have, but now you can.
What was your upbringing like? How did you grow up?
Mm, I wouldn't say that my household was typically Pakistani. I mean, there were some restrictions that they were there, जो कि हर घर में होती है. ऐसे कपड़े पहन सकते हैं, ऐसे नहीं. There was a big say that parents had. दोस्ती किससे कर सकते हैं, किससे नहीं. And when are you allowed to go somewhere and when you're not. So all of these were the regular, normal restrictions that children have.
Were they spoken or were they unspoken?
I think spoken in the sense that, can I go somewhere? No, you can't. Okay, I can't. हाँ जिद वगैरह वो सब जाहिर है वो होता था. But there were some rules like, I really want to wear this shirt and it's sleeveless, but my dad didn't like sleeveless, so नहीं पहन सकते. But then there was also a lot of modernity that I feel a lot of girls don't also get in my in our society, in terms of getting equal education. When you have a son and a daughter, a lot of households give the son the better education or send him abroad, but not the daughters, because बेटियों की तो शादी हो जानी है. So we don't have these concepts in my home. Me and my sister got the same kind of education that my brother got. And also I feel like when the time came for me or my sister to get married, we said what we want and what we don't. So there was that room to say मुझे इससे करनी है और इससे नहीं करनी. अब मैंने मंगनी करनी है लेकिन अब मैंने तोड़नी है. So I did that. I got engaged to somebody. My parents weren't happy with it, but I could get engaged because that's what I wanted. And then I realized that this is not the right thing for me. So I broke it off and I told my dad, मैंने नहीं करनी. He got up and he went to the parents and he broke it off. And then some months later I brought my current husband कि अब मैंने इससे करनी है. And शादी मैंने ऐसे करनी है, ऐसे functions करने हैं, joint reception करनी है, जहेज नहीं लेना. So I could also voice all
I
of these
love that.
modern
When did you get
thoughts.
married? What year was this?
This was 2008. I was 25. Yeah.
Amazing. I was in
Yeah.
school in 2008. I
Yeah.
wonder like what kind of conversations people who got married in my family had at the time.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but it also takes courage from your side.
Yeah.
Like I give so much, like credit to my parents, and there's a lot of gratitude because they're also a product of their society. And if they had put their foot down, I would have ended accepting because ऐसे ही होता है. So मेरे लिए भी वो normal चीज होती. So I give them a lot of like credit for being different, but then I also in retrospect give myself the courage to take my thoughts and demands and wishes forward, because बहुत दफा लड़कियां डर भी जाती हैं that they want to marry someone but they won't have the courage to take it forward. So it's not like it was easy. It's not like ये हंगामा नहीं हुआ घर में, या शोर नहीं मचा, या लड़ाइयाँ नहीं हुई, सब कुछ हुआ. But then you also need that courage if you really want something, and if it's something as big as your life partner, then you cannot not have courage, and you cannot just sit down and accept what people are giving to you.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I do believe very much that that's just my opinion though. I do believe very much and very strongly that in Desi families, a lot of women have now a say in who they marry. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of parents also know that they cannot stick to how things used to happen in the 80s or 90s. They have to keep up with the times. But I
Yeah.
also feel like that, okay, you can marry who you want, is a process. They will still go through that check and balance. They still want to know
Mm-hmm.
where the family is from, what do the parents do, how much money a guy earns. And I feel like that control, it's really difficult to relinquish. I think it's very much
Yes.
there. It's just taken a different
Yes.
shape and form. And I wish to see a time where none of that happens. Because if you're still trying to keep checking how much money a man earns, how good is he, how much of an eligible bachelor he is, what is the family like, it's a tacit form of control. It's a tacit form of
Mm-hmm.
being on a journey where, okay, you can marry this guy, but we still want to know all of these details. And it
Yes.
goes well beyond just wanting to know for curiosity. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like a sifting process. And it's
Yeah.
really funny because when I introduced my partner to my parents, they couldn't do any of that. He's from
Yeah.
Europe. Like, where are they gonna
Yeah.
go and find where the family is from? Like, the parents
Yeah.
don't even speak English, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I realized that there was so much that they wanted to know, but
Yeah.
there was just nothing that they could do. And
They
that
could
was
do. Yeah.
very frustrating. That was a very
Yeah.
frustrating experience for them because they were like, okay, we have no problem, because they knew that I live here and I
Yeah.
could also get married here. But I was like, no, let's get married in Pakistan. My partner was like, let's get married in Pakistan with your parents. You know,
Yeah.
we can do this, and
Yeah.
we need to have peace with your parents. So let's go to Karachi
Yeah.
and let's get married there. But I realized
Yeah.
that they wanted that, they had that curiosity to
Mm-hmm.
do something, to know more, to
Yeah.
be more involved in the process. But just the
Yeah.
fact that it was not a common culture or a common language, there were so many things that they have had to just accept. And that
Yeah.
process for them was very frustrating. And
Must have
I
been hard.
felt
Yes.
really annoyed at some points. And I also felt bad for them
Yeah.
because I was like, just because you have this mindset, like now you're so stuck in this, you want to know these things, but I don't care about these things. And
Mm-hmm.
it was funny
Yeah.
because they also want to ask me, but they can't ask me, right? Like, because
Mm.
they also know
Yeah.
it's such a different culture. Like, some
कि हम
question,
क्या पूछे?
like,
हाँ.
what
हाँ.
should we ask, right? Like,
Yeah.
what can we do?
Yes.
And I it took them so many months to accept that there's nothing we can do. And this was
Yeah.
sad. It was
Mm-hmm.
really sad because in the beginning I was just annoyed. And then after a few
Mm.
months, I started understanding.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
after some time, I was like, okay, they're not going to change. They
Yeah.
think that they're already doing their best, which
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
are actually.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but it was a process for me and it was a process for them. And I realized that
Yeah.
as a Desi woman, you can marry who you want, but that unspoken question answer, it hasn't entirely left our society. Even
It
now,
hasn't.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, tacit control for sure. That element is there. And then there's an element of,
Yeah.
protection and, like as a parent, I feel like, you know, my daughter is already 14. So yesterday we were, a day before, we were laughing, mama, in a decade maybe I'm married. And I'm like, oh my god, just 10 years, and but there's potential that you'll be 25, 26, and you could. It seemed like bas kal ye hoga, you know. So
Yeah.
I feel scared that, you know, I have raised my child with so much care, and she's making such a huge decision, and I want to protect her. So as a parent, I also understand where that comes from. But I feel when we are raising our daughters, it is so important कि आप उनको एक emotional independence भी दें, so
Yeah.
that they can trust themselves, and you can trust them that they will make the right choice for themselves, you know. And this fear will stay in a society, in parents, when they know कि ये तो नहीं choose कर सकती, इसने तो कभी सड़क पे
Yeah,
निकल के
like
walk
the
नहीं किया
ability to
पहले.
think on your feet.
ability to think.
Yeah.
या इसको तो यू नो 10 रुपए नहीं कमाए इसने कभी, या बात नहीं की किसी से घर से निकल के, तो रही घर के अंदर है. तो फिर अगर वो बोलेगी मुझे अपना नेबर पसंद आ गया जो छत पे आता है, obviously then she hasn't made an informed decision, because, you know, that was the only option that came. There was no conversation.
But there
And
were women who were interested in neighbors. I actually know a couple like that.
yes,
They've been married for 20
yes,
years and they met on the
wow,
roof. I
yeah,
actually know a couple like that. It's a typical middle class
typical,
family dating
yeah,
concept.
yeah, yeah.
And I mean, I'm sorry, no wonder she's into the neighbor because that's her pool. If y-
That is
if
her
you let her
pool.
go out in the street, she will meet somebody else she works with.
That suits her better.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
even to date and find the right person, you need to step out, you know?
Hmm.
And
Yes.
yeah, this was,
You need to step out, and also in, you need to have that self awareness. You need to have that emotional maturity. You need to know what
yeah.
I need from life,
Yeah, and
and then you make the
I learned in
choice.
my life, never marry the first man who you're interested in, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
don't do it.
yeah,
It's a very controversial thing to say, but like date and see and then don't marry this person.
yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
please. Yes. Yeah,
even if it's an
informed
arranged
decision.
marriage, even if you're one of
Mm,
those women who, because there are women who have it really 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 hard, and I know, and they live with
yeah,
their parents, and I don't want to discount that. And there are women who are introduced to men through an arranged marriage setting. And this arranged
yeah.
marriage setting is changing slowly. A lot of people are becoming a little bit more progressive. So there is also room to kind of flex in that. But I also feel like if you're meeting someone through an arranged marriage setting, don't marry the first person who brings a proposal. If you're
Mm,
20, 22, like you're a child, you have your entire
mm,
life ahead of you. And that's just what I've learned. Because
yeah.
it's considered like a really horrible thing to say in Desi culture, but window shopping is a good thing. Like you go out and see what's in the market, right? Like if somebody comes to
I
you,
completely
you
agree.
know,
I'm like, you know, आप जूता भी लेने जाते हैं ना, तो आप 10 दुकानें घूमते
yeah,
हैं
I watched this
कि, you know,
movie with
इसकी
yeah, I
हील,
watched
इसका
this
color.
movie with Shah Rukh Khan where he tells Alia Bhatt he's his therapist, he's her therapist,
Oh yes,
and
years
I
in
know,
between.
right? And
Yeah.
it's like one of the rare Bollywood movies I watched, and I loved it. And he goes like, "Have you like when you buy a kursi, you sit down on
Mm,
so many chairs and then you choose one, right? How can you choose a life partner just like
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Window shopping is a good
yeah.
thing, I think."
It really is. Of course, I completely agree with you.
And you know, what do you think? What does being a good girl mean in Desi culture, and what can it cost women? What is this mold? What does it mean?
Ah, triggering. गुस्सा आ जाता है इसमें तो. आई थिंक सबसे बड़ी दैट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक जो गुड गर्ल में होनी चाहिए वो कि वो चुप रहे,
To
you know,
stay quiet.
and just be quiet. And खामोशी सबसे बड़ा हथियार होता है. I'm like, मैं आपको बताती हूँ, because what do you mean आप चुप रहे? You know, you have opinions, you have a mind, a brain, a heart, you have emotions, and you're supposed to express none of it.
Yeah.
And you're just, you know, expected to be dictated इतना के हंसो नहीं जोर से, मतलब आप जॉय भी नहीं एक्सप्रेस कर सकते, रो नहीं तो आप सैडनेस भी नहीं एक्सप्रेस कर सकते, कुछ आपको चेंज करना है घर में तो आप कंप्लेन भी नहीं कर सकते. So like what are women expected to be what robots or some kind of zombies जो बस करती जाएं और कुछ कहें ना. So I think this is something that angers me. It's my trigger point कि चुप रहो तुम्हें नहीं पता, you know. So I really hate that, and it costs a woman her entire identity. जब आप कुछ बोल ही नहीं सकते, you know, तो फिर क्या रह जाता है? If you can't express joy or fear or anger or
Were you
sadness,
told
तो
to
फिर
be
क्या रह
quiet?
जाता है? Maybe passively, as a woman in this society, but I was never a quiet girl.
Yeah.
I was always the one who would get up and say this is not correct. So if my mother is being treated in a certain way, I remember being as young as 12 and saying that I don't like how my mother has been treated. You
Wow.
know, so I think I've been sensitive in that sense that I could feel it that she's not happy, or I could feel it that what's happened to her is not right. um, yeah, so I have not accepted this requirement from the society ke chup raho.
Yeah, and how do you think it doesn't have to just apply to you, but how do you think generally women are taught to like disconnect from their wants or their needs?
Yeah, I think this concept के फैमिली के लिए करना होता है सब कुछ और सबर करो. And you know, these phrases that are not just your nani and your mother and your khala are going to say, but they'll also be part of the movies and dramas, and you know, it's just perpetuated in every single place कि बस सब्र करो. और
Yeah.
जो जो लड़कियां बस चुप रहती है ना शुरू में, उन्हें सब मिल जाता है बाद में.
That couldn't be
And
further from the truth, by the way.
that couldn't be further, because I remember I was talking to a family member of mine who is in her 60s, and she said देखा मैं चुप रही ना सारी जिंदगी, तो जो लोग मुझे तब बॉदर करते थे वो तो अब दुनिया में है ही नहीं और अब सब कुछ ठीक है. So I'm like, you lost your youth,
To the
you know,
silence.
to the silence. You cried in silence. You couldn't get the life that you wanted. You were mistreated and disrespected, and you couldn't do any of the things that you had hoped for when you were a teenager. Before you got married, you had those dreams, कुछ fulfill नहीं हुआ. और अब वो लोग मर गए हैं तो सब
That's
ठीक हो
one
गया
way
है.
of looking at it, but it's so morbid. I mean, at the
I
cost of what?
अब अपनी पूरी जात,
This
you
is.
know, अपनी पूरी
It's
जात.
crazy that such words would come out of somebody's mouth. Like, I would be like, what are you saying?
But अफसोस होता है ना, because then you're like, there's no other way for women to rationalize what happened to them, or you know, वो नहीं मिला सब जो जिंदगी से जो चाहा था, because और तो कोई तरीका फिर कैसे rationalize करें. So this keeps them comfortable कि now everything is fine.
Yeah, they just get used to it. They just get used to being
Yeah.
abused and harassed, and they just get used to living on the fringes and on the margins,
Yeah, and
burying.
getting crumbs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
getting the crumbs. It takes a lot, you know. I feel that it takes a lot to stand up to the society and say, no, I will not take this. There is a discomfort associated with accepting people being mad at you. Log मुंह बना के बैठे हैं. So yeah, so when you know, stand up to people who are making you do things that you don't want to do, or you know, you have to go against your own values or your identity, discomfort आता है. I feel it is your choice that am I going to accept that discomfort and find a way to live through it, or am I going to accept sacrificing myself? That is your choice, and that is always there. And a lot of women are fearful of that narazgi, of that rejection. मेरे मियाँ ने मुझसे ठीक से बात नहीं की, तो इससे अच्छा है कि फिर मैं चुप रहूं. And women tend to choose self-sacrifice because they cannot come to terms with that discomfort of लोगों की नाराजगी, which is obviously people pleasing. So I think that I didn't accept कि मुझे कोई अपनी identity compromise करने को बोले, but it comes at the cost of pissing a lot of people off. And my thing was that if these people really love me and they really want to stay in a relationship with me, they will accept this in me then.
How did you have this awareness?
I think tuning into how I would feel when someone would make me do something that I didn't want. I think शादी के शुरू में ही I had this awareness कि मुझे बहुत बुरा लगता है when I'm told to, for example, go to a family event when I wanted to go see my friend who is visiting for 2 days from another country.
This is such a typical example, by the way. This is such a classic example. Like, to just tag
Yeah,
along to a family dinner because
yeah,
everybody is going there, and you're expected
yeah,
to
yeah.
be an extension of the husband or the family, and you have to show
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. And you know what? It's okay sometimes. आप अपनी boundaries define करते हो, but I also feel boundaries are not like some metal, iron walls that you cannot bend them a little bit. ठीक है, मैं कभी चली भी जाऊंगी. बट अगर उस टाइम के साथ आई वॉन्ट टू डू समथिंग और वो मेरी पर्सनल प्रेफरेंस है तो फिर मैं सैक्रिफाइस नहीं करूंगी. आई विल गो टू सी माई फ्रेंड, नॉट दैट आंटी दैट I didn't grow up with, so I don't have that personal relationship with her. And if you do, please go.
I love
You
that. Did
know,
you actually did you actually create this boundary? And
yes.
how was it taken?
I think that जब आप there are two ways to communicate everything. There could be a way that मैं नहीं जाऊंगी, मुझे क्यों बोला है, blah 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 blah, and you create that fight. Or you can sit down with your spouse and be like, if I give you a similar example कि वो जो मेरी चाची हैं, who is very close to me, and I have these wonderful childhood moments with her. Do you have the same feelings for her? No. So if I would go and spend time with her, I would feel so good. But would you feel so good? No. So then similarly, जो तुम्हारी फुप्पी हैं, जिनके साथ तुम्हारी memories हैं, the feelings that you get when you spend time with her, I don't. My family and the people I've grown up with are different. Your set is different. We cannot expect कि हम एक दूसरे के loved ones के लिए वो ही feelings develop कर लें, because you've just entered my life and I've just entered yours. So it
That is
cannot be
such
like
a
that कि
mature,
100% ये
yeah,
हो ही
it's
नहीं
such a
सकता.
mature way of looking at it.
Similarly, I cannot expect you to love my mother and my father like I love them. I'm their child. मैं भी वो नहीं कर सकती तुम्हारे पेरेंट्स के लिए फील फ्रॉम द फर्स्ट डे. यस, रिलेशनशिप्स कैन डेवलप, mutually अगर दो लोग आपस में अच्छे हैं. And there are so many people in my husband's family now that I love spending time with because they've been so nice to me. And if he
Yeah.
calls them khala, I want to call them
And
khala
but
because
it's
they've
taken years probably to get
it's
there.
taken
Yeah.
years. Yeah, it's a thing to understand, and there's a lot of unlearning that men also need to do because they've also seen their mothers go to see their fathers chachis at the expense of their own family gatherings. क्योंकि अम्मा भी तो ऐसे करती थी ना, वो भी तो अब्बू के घर जाती थी ना, अब्बू
I
की फैमिली से
love
मिलती थी,
that.
अपनी अम्मी से तो नहीं मिलने
Yeah.
जाती थी. So I think men, we need to also understand that when you are standing up to change society, your partners are also unlearning a lot. So उनको भी वक्त लगता है. They've also grown up in the same society. But you can communicate things very politely because your partner is not your enemy here. You want to go hand in
Yeah.
hand with him. You want to work together.
Yeah.
You can see the society as your enemy or something that you're
Yeah.
fighting against, but it's not your partner.
Yeah.
So I think if you communicate nicely and with emotions and using I statements, which really work well,
Yeah.
I don't feel like this, not saying you do this, like I
Yeah,
feel
just
like
own it
this.
up just to be honest.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's how it worked out for me. Having conversations, लेकिन बहुत आराम से, and giving him the space also to,
Process.
say
Yeah.
what he has to. Yeah.
Yeah. How does your image change within the family? It can be your family, it can be your partner's family. It's basically the social setting. When you are more healed and more discovered and more secure, I'm sure that, I have a theory, even abusers carefully pick out their targets.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about men who rape women, by the way. Don't
Yeah.
get it wrong. Like, I'm not saying that a woman has done something to be picked out as a target. But there are people who people carefully choose on whether or not they can abuse.
Yeah.
In a Desi family, if your wife is coming from money, it's really unlikely that the man will financially abuse her.
Hmm.
I'm just stating like a really, really generic statement.
Yeah.
But if she is already strapped, cannot make her own money,
Yeah.
it's very likely that he's going to
Yes.
abuse her. And I feel like people pick their targets. This
Yes.
is so sad, but it is what it is. Like, if
It
you,
is what it
it
is.
is
It
what it
is like
is.
this.
And I feel like when you change and you are more secure and you're more healed and awakened, people around you, they change the way they see you, and then they know that there are certain things that will fly and certain things that will not fly.
Yes.
And do you get what I'm saying? And
I
how
completely
has it
understand.
how has it happened for you, this transition?
Uh, I feel this is so true that when this transition happens, the people who चलो हर कोई abuse नहीं होता, कभी लोग खाली manipulate भी हो रहे होते हैं, which is 1 degree less than
Yeah,
abuse.
emotional manipulation or
But
abuse. Yeah.
manipulation तो बहुत, it's there, and there's such a shift in your energy and in your overall presence that people know that I cannot do this to her anymore, or I cannot expect her to tag along or do as I say anymore. And sometimes it's the body language also, but sometimes it takes you saying it a few times कि नहीं मैं वहाँ नहीं जाऊंगी. You have to say it, because जब तक आप बोलोगे नहीं, हो सकता है कोई आपको मैनिपुलेट करने के लिए नहीं लेके जा रहा हो, बस लेके जा रहा हो क्योंकि ऐसे ही होता है, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't
Sometimes
have
people
to.
act out of their own conditioning. They don't know
या
any
कि
better.
मैं भी तो जा
Yeah.
रही हूँ, या सास बोलेगी कि मैं भी तो करती थी, तो ऐसे ही होता है, तो अब तुम भी करोगी. सो यू हैव टू से कि मेरा दिल नहीं कर रहा जाने का, या मुझे वो लोग नहीं पसंद, या आई एम इनवाइटेड समवेयर एल्स. And you have to say it, and then again this is where you choose yourself and accept कि लोग मेरे से नाराज होंगे, and I will survive this. It'll be fine. It's okay to disappoint my mother-in-law or my husband or my mother or somebody, because otherwise I'm abandoning myself. You have to okay with this being disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean by energy. I see this with myself. There's people in my family who will never treat me the way they treat certain people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just they would just never dare to do it.
Yes, yes,
You know?
yes, yes, yes. And maybe there are some people who have always had that energy, तो वो इस चीज को नहीं समझ सकते कि क्या मतलब तुम्हारे साथ ऐसे हो गया और तुम कुछ कर नहीं सकी. But then there are certain people who have been in that weak spot, who have not been treated nicely or who have been trampled over, and then they heal, and then it's हिल जाते हैं लोग कि इसको क्या हो गया, you know.
Yeah.
पहले तो ये
Yeah.
करती थी, अब तो ये नहीं करती.
Yeah.
So yeah, people feel that shift and people see
Yeah,
it.
and I also feel like with me, I feel like from a very young age, people could not say to me the things that they were saying to others because there was always pushback.
Yeah.
But I've noticed something. I used to push back from a place of anger and wounding, you know? And when I used to push back from a place of anger and wounding, it used to rattle people. And instead of solving the problem, it used to create a problem.
Yes.
And now, when I push back from a place of healing, I actually don't have to push back.
Yeah.
I just have to say something like, I'm not comfortable. I don't think this is a good idea. I don't have to always be like, no, your ideas suck and I am not going to do this. The point is just to say, I don't think I'm so interested in that. And
Yes.
this gets the point across because
Yes.
the point is to get the point across.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
creating a problem or making
Yeah.
it bigger, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. I mean, why do we need to spend our energy and time convincing someone कि वो अच्छा कर रहे हैं या वो बुरा कर रहे हैं या
Yeah.
वो कर रहे हैं, fine, who
Yeah.
cares? It doesn't bother me. You don't want to do it, don't join along.
Yeah, you don't want to fight. You just want to have your way.
Yeah.
You know?
Step away. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did all of this evolve your marriage or change your marriage? What was this process like? Was it scary to be more vocal or vulnerable?
It actually was not. I think we're very good with accommodating change, and I think that we have been quite mature about the fact that people change. We will evolve. We found each other when we were kids, and हमें अपनी कोई sense of self या self identity वो भी चीजें नहीं पता होती when you're young. These things come with age. So I feel that when you enter a marriage, yes, you're two people at a certain point in your life, but expect changes. In fact, changes are nice. Evolution is good. You can always evolve for the better. So your speed can be different. I feel in my healing journey my speed was faster. I feel I took the first step towards healing, towards thinking, introspection, therapy. बट इतना फायदा होता है इवन व्हेन वन पर्सन इज हीलिंग कि उसका ट्रिकल इफेक्ट होता है फिर फैमिली में हाउ आई डील विद माई चिल्ड्रन हाउ डू आई रिस्पॉन्ड टू देयर टेंट्रम्स हाउ डू आई आंसर देयर क्वेश्चंस how do I deal with pressure, and all of that. If I do better, your household environment improves, and when your husband sees that, when your children see that, then they're also open. So my husband also goes for therapy. My teen has been for therapy, and the change in her has been transformational. So we all see it. It started for me, but we all see it, and we benefit from it. We benefit from seeking professional help.
Yeah, and
It does us
how
good.
has your healing informed how you raise your children in conversations like, I mean, I know it has informed your entire, like, I can see that it has a phenomenal effect, but especially around conversations like consent and body image and dating, because if she's 14, then
Yeah,
it's not a very long way off. And how
yeah,
has your own healing informed how you raise your teenage daughter, for example?
yeah. Um, so I think that this is an area where I still have some searching to do, because I feel that there are certain things which have to happen in a certain age, and we all do them, and we're all curious, and we all want to experiment. And God has given us a certain psychology and certain hormones. So these are all physical and psychological facts that teens are going to go through this. The quicker we accept it as parents, the better it is, because hona to hai. दूसरा यही हो सकता है कि आप उन्हें घर में बंद कर दें और वो किसी को मिल नहीं सकते. That's the other way, right? But they're
Yeah,
going
just
to school,
lock
they're
them up.
meeting
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
There's going to be exposure, and it's not that ये West में है, ये पाकिस्तान में भी है, and it's undercover. Kids will not tell their parents, but parents don't know doesn't mean it doesn't happen. So it has to happen. And then there are certain cultural names, because I don't feel that culture binds me in any way, but there are certain religious things that are there. So at this point I'm really trying to find my balance between religion, but then physical and psychological realities as well. So the conversations that I have with my daughter, first of all, acknowledgement that yes, you're experiencing this is so important. If I tell her, if she comes to me and tells me, Mama, I have a crush on someone, and I tell her, what are you saying? I can't say that to a natural feeling. And
Yeah.
I can't develop this aversion in her to men or to marriage or to feelings. So emotions always have to be acknowledged. She has to have this space where she can come and cry over crushes and tell me how cute someone is, because it's natural. मुझे आके नहीं बताएगी तो I lose as a parent कि मेरी बेटी मुझे आके चीजें नहीं बता सकती. And then the religious aspect always comes in as a very spiritual way, how we see our bodies and how we respect our bodies, and it's not garbage that you hand out to everybody, you know so yeah, we have these conversations, but I feel that I am also navigating this because it's the first time I have a teenager. I've never had a
Yeah.
teenager before. So I give myself that grace also कि मैं भी समझ रही हूँ अभी इन चीजों को, और मैं भी
Yeah.
learn कर रही हूँ. And I'm taking it as it comes. But I think that as parents, we have to be ready to challenge ourselves because things will happen which will make us uncomfortable. Things will happen which are going to challenge our beliefs and our understanding of a lot of things. But अगर आप बैरियर बना लोगे कि मैं अनकंफर्टेबल नहीं होना चाहती मुझे ना ये बताओ then you lose as a parent then you shut that door then when your child is in a bad situation stuck somewhere they will not call you to rescue them and I do not ever want to be that parent so I
Yeah.
have to deal with my discomfort I can't be like my daughter comes and asks me mama what is sex I can't be like stiffen up and be like ah, na, mujhe ye kehna because I am uncomfortable
Yeah. I
I
know.
have to figure it out कि मैंने कैसे comfortable होना है और मैंने उससे इस बारे में बात कैसे करनी है तो फिर वो इंटरनेट पे जाएगी और वो लोगों गलत लोगों में जाएगी and I can't I can't accept that
Yeah.
so yeah
Yeah. Yeah. And you're also a coach, and I know that you coach women. And what is, like, from your experience, what's the one thing that you hear most from women in your through your coaching work? They could be South Asian women, they could be whoever you coach. Like, one common pattern that
yeah
we really need to break.
one is lack of self trust के so much doubt and wanting to do something, taking a decision. ये ठीक होगा, मैं सही कर रही हूँ. It's a lot of self doubt.
Yeah, a lot of
So I
self
feel
doubt.
we are not able to trust ourselves because nobody ever trusted us. Nobody, gave us those skills that go ahead and make your choice. And
Yeah.
even if you make a mistake, it's fine and we're here and there will be support.
Yeah.
एक ये और दूसरा complete lack of self compassion. कि अगर मैंने वो कर दिया है तो
Yeah.
मुझे वो कह देगा सामने वाला कि कोई बात नहीं महावेश हो जाता है अगर वो खुद कर देगी तो अपने आप को कभी नहीं बोलेगी कोई बात नहीं
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Women have to
we
be
are so
kinder.
harsh with ourselves
Yeah.
so these are the two things that I notice a
But the
lot
lack of self doubt is so true. I know that you read a lot, and there's a book called Brave Not Perfect.
hmm
Have you read this book?
I have
It's
not
it's
I have not
um it's a book written by Reshma Sujani, and she's an Indian American, and
yeah
she has this company called Girls Who Code. And
ah
she gave a TED talk about it, and she said that every time she she there was a study, or I don't know, she quoted something that when there's a coding class, for example, um, men would code and the boys would code and it would be wrong,
mm,
and then the girls would code and then they would be like, they would raise their hand and be like, call the tutor or the trainer, whatever, and be like, it's not working. And then the trainer would be like, press control Z, and then they would find that they would just erase it because they are under so much pressure. Girls are under so much pressure and conditioning to be perfect that
yeah
instead of showing a wrong code or a broken code, they would show a blank screen.
yeah
And this is so true, and this like
yeah
this really, the story really stuck with me. And then I read her book, and I think this is the main point of it, like, brave not perfect.
yeah
And this is why there is a lot of self-doubt, so I always recommend people to
yes
read this book.
yeah
It's yeah, I just think that women lack bravery in general, because there's very few women who'll be like, I'm gonna
yeah
do this even if I fail, I don't care.
या बिकॉज आई थिंक बचपन से हमने अगर गलती की है तो उस पर इतना बैकलैश या ग्लास भी टूट जाए तो इतनी डांट पड़ जाती है बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली देन पेरेंट्स आर सो अनहील्ड कि छोटी सी गलती पे छोटे बच्चे को इतना डांट देना कि आप गलती करने से ही डर
Yeah,
जाओ
you have no safe space to make mistakes. Yeah.
या एंड दैट्स unnatural
Yeah.
that you won't ever make mistakes that's not possible
Yeah, yeah. One myth that you would like to bust about sex.
that women don't want it.
Nice. Yeah, and a book or a podcast that shifted your opinion or your worldview.
Not a book or a podcast. You mean about sex or overall?
Overall, I mean, in general, or even about sex. That just shifted your worldview, like, in a
Yeah.
really radical way.
Okay. It was it's an Instagram influencer. She's Indian. She's called Lisa Mangaldas,
Ah, I
and
know Lisa, yeah.
I landed on her page, and actually that is what shifted my thought process. And it's so strange. stranger completely you've never met, but through her posts, I was able to shed a lot of shame in certain, areas of intimacy that I felt.
A moment when you realized that you had evolved or changed, even if it was quietly.
I remember the exact moment 3 years ago receiving a call from a family member who disagreed with one of my posts on my blog. And they said that I want you to delete it. And I said, I will not delete it. And if you choose to not speak to me because I don't delete it ever, I will consider that you are not a part of my family, but I will not take dictation about what I can post and what I cannot.
What? This is so deeply personal to ask somebody to delete something. You don't
Yeah,
do this.
because they weren't happy with, I don't understand what they weren't happy with, but I said, no, I will not delete it. And yeah, it was just like a, rebellion that I will not take dictation anymore because it was coming from somewhere where a lot of dictation and a
Yeah,
lot of
and this
judgment
is
has
such a
come.
classic control tactic. Like, if they
Yeah.
had an opinion, they could have commented and
Yeah,
been
or
like, hey,
discussed.
I don't agree with this, da da da
Yeah.
da. But the fact that they think they can call you and go private,
Yeah.
it's
And
a
delete
very,
it.
yeah, and be like,
Yeah.
delete it. Like,
Yeah.
who are you to ask me to
Who
what I
are
should
you
do
to?
with
No, you
my,
cannot.
yeah.
You can have a conversation. You can tell me if something I've done has hurt your sensibilities or Zarur, we can disagree. And it was also a paid partnership, so it was a work post. It was not कि मैंने अपने से कुछ लिखा है. So it was two steps ahead that it's
But
also going to work.
regardless, like,
Regardless, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But you cannot. I'm an adult. I'm 40 years old. No, this I don't welcome. And I knew in that moment that I had grown, that I can really stand up and say no to somebody who I was not able to say no to for
If
my
I may
entire life.
ask, what was the post provocative in some way? Like,
No, it was just celebrating someone else from my family, literally. So it was beyond me. क्या problem क्या है?
okay, this just seems like family politics.
Yeah, some family politics.
Oh my god. This is, I mean, the audacity to delete it.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm so proud of you for not doing it.
Yes, I am so proud of myself because it came from within. It wasn't like I paused and I thought about it. It was my first instinct and that's when I knew I've grown. Really.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. It was a wonderful conversation, by the way.
Sometimes women can experience intimacy in a different way and men can have different sweet spots and women can have different sweet spots. And I feel that all of us go by a very textbook definition of sex. आप डिक्शनरी खोलेंगे तो आपको जो लिखा हुआ मिलेगा that a man's
Yeah.
penis enters a woman's vagina is sex and it is supposed to feel good. Women can, feel good in a different way. So if you do, acknowledge it and communicate it to your partner, right? That this is not what gives me the utmost pleasure. I would like something else. And what is that thing? Also tell. And I also would like to say that sex is not that 1 minute in bed when both of you feel climax, which could also be at different points. If you want to enjoy good sex, the entire day counts. आप दोनों की, the way you interacted with each other, how nicely you spoke with each other, how much space you gave to each other, how much support you gave to each other. If you have had a good day together, only then you want to, go to bed with that person, and only then you feel that emotional connection, which amplifies your sexual experience. So you can't be fighting the whole day. You can't have a rude husband who is dictating and controlling you and then at the end of the day you have sex and expect that you enjoy it. And that's why I feel a lot of women in South Asian cultures don't enjoy it because it's seen as that act that we're going to do at night
Yeah,
even
and
though the
also
entire day was shitty.
one more thing that I feel like a lot of women have wrong in Desi cultures, or in a lot of, actually, not just Desi cultures, primarily Desi cultures and South Asian cultures, but also like everywhere in the world, that sex is something that she's doing for a man,
Mm-hmm.
or she's giving it to him,
Yeah,
right?
service,
You
act
are
of
not
service.
serve. It's not an act of service.
Yes.
Parts of it can be act of service, but it
Yes.
has to be both ways.
Both ways, and it's okay to receive also. I feel women are so conditioned to give and not receive, that when they are receiving, they're like, oh my god, now how can I receive? How can he do this for me? How can I ask him to
Which
do
is
this for me?
ironic because a lot of feminine sexuality is about receiving.
Yeah, yeah,
This is so against nature to make the woman be the giver all the time,
yes,
because
yeah,
she's also a receiver.
yes,
She can be a caregiver, but sexually, a lot of women like receiving, and this is
yeah,
just what their sexuality is
yeah,
like.
yeah.
And you can resist it or you can accept it. And
But
I
you
think
can't
women should
change
accept
facts.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just feel that the entire thing becomes better for both of you when you're both receiving and giving. If one person is
Yeah.
giving, obviously they're going to be like, it's a chore. मुझे तो कुछ मिलता नहीं है इससे. So, okay, fine, here you go,
Yeah.
take it so that I can sleep.
And be
But
done
if
with
it's
it.
enjoyable for
Yeah.
you as well, if the woman also feels good, then she will also look forward to it.
Yeah. I used to, I always asked my partner a question. And it was hilarious the first time I asked him something and he gave me this answer. I think it was a couple years ago, and I asked him something about sex, and I was like, how did you inform yourself and where did you get the sex education? I mean, he's European, so he grew up in a very different culture, but he also grew up in countryside Germany. He did not grow up in the cities. So a lot of what he knows about life and the world and technology and everything is self-taught.
Yeah.
And he said to me, it was simple. If I am nice to the woman, I get it twice.
Mm.
And this was so funny because I was like, okay, so at the end of the day, you're thinking about yourself.
Yeah. Selfish.
But it works.
But it works, bhai.
It
It works,
works.
right? And it
It
works in
works.
anything, not just this situation, but in anything in life, that, when you're nice to the other person, and the other person will be nice to you as well. And it works out both. It's a win-win situation.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is a man's mind, but it's a great strategy.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the one thing you think is more important in a relationship than sex?
I think comprehension. A few years ago, I used to think communication, but then I realized it's comprehension. One person can die communicating, but if the other person is not ready to comprehend or amplify their skills of comprehension, then things can't change. Yeah.
That is really true. Yeah, to feel heard and understood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.